When my family and I was having a weekly visit to our grandpa's home, we found her falling on the floor unconscious. We rushed her to the hotel, and the doctor told us that she might have suffered from a fall just the night before. Things just went downhill from that, and 2 days later, she passed away in peace. I often question ourselves, would it be the ending of the story, would it be different if we were just there right when she needed us the most? Being there in time is extremely important when a fall accident happens to an elderly, and it can increase the survival rate for up to 35%. And actually, this is a major stress factor for a lot of the caregivers in Hong Kong, as they have to express the constant care of the well-being 24/7 non-stop. This issue is also very closely related to the community that we're in. In Kowloon East, we have the highest elderly population as well as the highest caregiver ratio. And when we think about fall detection solution in the market, they are easy push of a button solution, but it requires the elderly to be conscious and have the active input. There are alternatives such as Fitbit or Apple Watch, but they are just simply too hard for the elderly to learn and use. So we start to question ourselves, how can we provide a solution that is for the elderly, they would like to wear it all the time, and can be there for them when they needed it the most?
So to address this problem, we look to a material which is already well loved and has a strong cultural meaning. That is jade. The elderly are already wearing bangles, just like the one I'm wearing, at every moment of the day, with the belief that it will provide them with good health and good fortune. That's why we're excited to present a seamless automatic fall detection system, which is created using beautiful, genuine jade. It has a sensor which can help to detect the time, location, and other fall-related insights at any time of day, as well as being self-charging so that the user never has to take it off. There are 3 beautiful designs, all for different needs. We have in front of us a one bangle which has a sensor that's embedded into it. We have a bracelet like this which has a clip-on sensor which can be attached to any jewelry that the elderly are already wearing. And we have a more flexible design which can be adapted with more other auspicious materials such as gold, amber, or wood. Setting up the device is extremely simple. All that the caregiver has to do once they've taken it out of the box is to text a unique code to our service line. This will automatically prompt our SMS chatbot, which will allow them to set up to 7 nominated caregivers to receive updates. Those updates will come through on a daily basis so that the caregiver is always aware of what's going on with the elderly person. And they're then able to dive in to even deeper insights such as near falls, activity levels, and time taken to stand. When designing this product, we took it to multiple stakeholders to get their feedback. And we've heard resoundingly from nurses, elderly, and caregivers that they would love to use this product. But don't just hear it from me, let's hear it from another caregiver.
I don't have to think about charging it. I don't have to take it off when I'm taking a shower. I don't have to take it off when I'm doing household work. That's being convenient.
So you've seen what it is. You've seen how much users love it. Let's see how it works. So here to help me, I have Kelly, who's playing the role of an elderly person today. As you can see, she is wearing a working prototype, which has an accelerometer in a jade bracelet. And our head of electronics, Declan here, has a live dashboard which shows you what is happening on the back end of our system. So you'll see, for the benefit of the audience, that there is a fall alert and an interactive map. Now, if Kelly takes a fall, sorry, Kelly, what you'll see is that our system has detected that a fall has happened, but can also pinpoint down to the part of the building exactly where she's taken a fall. Now, we're able to relay this information directly to the caregiver via an instant call. We better pick this up.
你好，媽媽在下午1:05在九龍塘懷疑倒下，我一呼叫媽媽，獲查看短信已獲取詳細信息。
So this information will also be relayed immediately via SMS so that the caregiver is able to come pick Kelly up, check on her, and call emergency services if required. Thank you, Kelly and Declan.
Perfect, thank you. Now let's see how we can get this potentially life-saving technology into the hands of the people who may need it. We plan to sell our bracelets between 800 and 1,000 Hong Kong dollars, depending on the design. Furthermore, we are planning to have a recurring revenue stream from a subscription model that will give the caregivers the actionable insights on the healthcare status of the elderly. Our buyer persona is the adult caregiver, adult child of an elderly, who's the caregiver, Cindy in this case. Cindy works full-time and also takes care of her mom as needed. And the way we will reach people like Cindy is primarily through marketing our device at the caregiver associations that most of the caregivers in Hong Kong are already subscribing to. Furthermore, we find it particularly interesting that insurance companies find this an interesting area to invest in, because if we can provide actionable insights and shorter emergency response times to accidents, we can actually make insurance companies some money, so creating a win-win opportunity. Our target market is 5.6 billion Hong Kong dollars across China and Hong Kong. This is our development timeline. We'll have our seed round hopefully closed up this year of 7 million rounds, and then expand to Hong Kong and China. And with this, after we cover our cost, planning to be profitable in 2 years. Let's go back to the beginning for a second. The jade has been the symbol of beauty, simplicity, and good luck in Chinese culture. And if you're like me, you want more than just good luck for your elderly. As Evergreen, we are promising the care the elderly deserves in the form of a beautiful jade. Thank you.
Thank you, Evergreen. Now over to the judges.
Just wondering from the technology standpoint, you mentioned about self-charging, you mentioned about fall detection, which are both fairly difficult technology based on your form factor. Just wondering what sort of technology do you guys have in mind for your product to actually achieve that two capabilities?
So we are looking into two technologies for self-charging. One of them is the converting the mechanical motion to electrical energy. The other one is using the body heat to create electricity. And we are not the first ones to think of this, obviously. There are already smartwatches on the market that use either of these technologies to create enough electricity to keep a smartwatch charged throughout the day. And we have access to more real estate because we have access to the full jade bangle such that we can insert more smart sensors as well as a large battery in there to last us the whole time. And about the sensor, Apple is already doing this. They can detect falls really reliably, which goes to show that the technology is out there. It's feasible for us to do. All we have is putting it in this form.
Maybe just a follow-up from that. What is your current BOM cost? Like, what are you guys seeing as the? And you mentioned $1,000 or 1,000 Hong Kong dollar price point. What's the BOM that sits under that?
Yeah. Right now, the BOM cost estimation for the electronics on its own, it's around 100 Hong Kong dollar, including the battery, including the accelerometer, as well as the firmware for the basic use. And going forward, for example, for the jade itself, we're targeting at a B-grade jade, which is around 80 to 120, and can go down if we purchase it in bulk. So, like multiply to 4 or 5 times, which is a typical wearable cost, it's around 1,000 Hong Kong dollar.
Just from the marketing perspective, right? Have you thought about, obviously, you know, bangle or jade is not necessarily appealing to everybody. So have you thought about product diversification, or, you know, maybe not just focusing on the China market because, you know, Fitbit, those kind of products are global products, right?
Yeah, in terms of the form factor, we would like to start off with jade because it kind of resembles the traditional Chinese value of a blessing for a lot of different special occasions. But we're also exploring alternatives such as this kind of beads-like format. We kind of see the potential in going into kind of a techy Pandora-like solution where you can customize different type of module going forward. But we'd like to just head our head down into investigating the jade because for the elderly, it's easier for them to accept to begin with.
Any more questions from the panel?
Always. On the interesting you talk about self-charging because in fact one of my portfolio is the self-charging technology. That's right. That's why I think Charleston mentioned about that. So if that is the case that you're using, I think your BOM is overly underestimated. For one, I think for two, to accurately detect fall detection, so far I don't believe there's actually any really good sensor for that. I mean, if you do have that, I think you will solve a very golden problem. I can find you a customer in Japan like immediately. But that being said, if you could really combine the two together, I think that would be very powerful.
Thank you for the comment. So one advantage we'll have that the others don't is the fact that the bangles are meant to be worn 24/7 all the time. Unlike an Apple Watch that gets taken out, that doesn't collect data during some part of the day. So we'll have access to immense amounts of data which we can process and learn from. And hopefully one day we'll be able to detect falls and differentiate them perfectly.
Yeah. In terms of the ask, we also like to connect with your portfolio company like the Power Watch, as well as someone who are working on mini batteries for long-term use. Yeah, basically that's one of our asks as well. Be willing to talk to them.
For 37 seconds. Then if that is the case, right, so why don't you think a Fitbit can do exactly what you do?
So I think Fitbit, first of all, is about the branding. They're primarily targeting the sporty type of younger audiences. So if they want to tap into the market, of course, like for the elderly market, it's hard for them to accept this kind of super techy stuff. They have to learn how to use smartphone, Bluetooth, operate, charging, all these and that. We actually consider it as a potential exit option if we manage to pull it off in the Greater China market.
Thank you, Team Evergreen.